Hi everyone, today's video is a review and comparison of the Mini Milo by Sézane and the Claude Bag also by Sézane. So I'm going to be talking you through these two bags, the similarities, the differences, my general recommendations and which one you should pick to buy. I'm also going to be comparing them with a couple of other very similar bags I have from different brands, so you can see the size comparison and the quality comparison with those bags as well. Okay, so let's start with the Mini Milo. So this bag is obviously a miniature version of the Sézane Milo bag. So the Milo bag originally looked like this. It retails for £310. This one you can still buy on the website. It has a toggle clasp. They then updated the Milo and they made it into this one, which is more expensive at £365. The main difference being it has this jewel-like clasp. This one is then a mini version of that one and it retails for £335. So in between the classic, the updated, and then obviously this is slightly smaller than that second iteration of the original Milo bag. This one currently comes in just two colours. This one, which is called Honey, and a glossy black as well. So this is like a satchel shape bag. It's very much similar to the Celine box bag, if you're familiar with that. It very much replicates that kind of design. It's very simple. It's a squared off but slightly rounded shape, and it has like a satchel kind of look to it. So you have the front of the bag, which has this really shiny gold clasp. Now this is gold, but it is quite a light toned gold, so it very much can look silver in some lights. I quite like that because it kind of matches with both silver and gold accessories depending on what you're wearing. It opens by just pressing it down like this, and then you lift up the top of the bag. So it is fairly secure. Once it's secured in, you can't open it without actually pressing the clasp. So you press it down, you open it up, and then inside it is leather on the top here. So this is a black leather, and then the inside of the actual bag is a black canvas cotton material. In terms of compartments in the Mini Milo, you have a front compartment here, which is fairly narrow. You're not going to be able to fit too much in here. I don't think my phone would fit in here. You then have the main compartment area, which is where the majority of your things can go. You do also have compartments within this, so you've got a small slot here at the front and then an actual zip pocket at the back. And then there is also a compartment right at the back here, which again is pretty narrow, and you can only really fit like receipts in that or paper, something very thin. Then at the back, you've also got a back pocket. Again, this is very thin. You're not going to be able to fit too much in this. You're probably not going to want to put too much in this either because it might misshape the bag. So again, I would save this just for things like receipts. Otherwise, the majority of your things are going to have to fit in this main compartment here. Now, it isn't a huge bag, but it's not tiny either. If I find my phone, I have the iPhone 14 Pro Max. So this is one of the biggest phones that you can buy. And this fits comfortably in the Mini Milo. As you can see, I still have a good amount of space in there. So if I grab a pair of sunglasses as well, they fit in there quite nicely, as you can see. I've got this palette. This is a lip and cheek palette by Sézane as well. I can comfortably slot that in there as well, but you can see that it is starting to fill up. I mean, I could jiggle these about and make more space putting that down there. So I could obviously fit my keys in there. I don't have my keys with me right now, but keys, a purse would go in there, a lipstick, and then probably not a whole lot else. So to me, the Mini Milo is an everyday casual bag, a shopping bag, a weekend bag, a going out for the day where you don't need to carry too much stuff. It isn't a work bag or a bag where you can obviously fit an iPad or a laptop or something where you need to carry your lunch, for example. You're not going to be able to fit that in here. I don't even think you'd be able to fit all of that in a classic Milo though. So in that instance, you'd be going for something more like some of the tote bags or bigger style bags that they've released recently as well. But it is a really lovely size. I actually prefer this to the classic size because I don't feel like you can fit that much more in the classic size than you can fit in this. Obviously the classic size will have slightly more room, but there's nothing really, you're still not going to be able to fit a laptop or an iPad or even something like a hairbrush or something of that nature, it's still not going to fit in the classic Milo size. So I don't really see the point in having a bag that's bigger than this, because everything I need in an instance where I'm carrying a bag like this can comfortably fit in the mini. And I do just prefer the look of the mini. I think it's a little bit cuter, a little bit smaller, and yeah, I just slightly prefer the shape rather than the classic. This is what it looks like on the sides. This is what it looks like on the bottom. Now this is a smooth leather. This currently only comes, as I said, in 2 colors, both of them smooth leather. The other bag I have that I will show you is the Claude bag. So this is very similar to the Milo. If I hold them both up for you, you'll see that they are almost identical in size. Obviously the Claude is slightly more rounded than the Milo. The top flap is definitely like a half circle, whereas this, it's more of like a half rectangle with rounded edges. And this one is more of a half moon crescent shaped bag in general. Now I have the chocolate crocodile one, but this does also come in smooth leather options. So this comes in more color varieties at the moment than the Mini Milo, although they did have some summer versions of the Mini Milo. I know they had like a white one, a yellow one, a green one. Most of those are now sold out, and they just have the 2 fall versions, which are the honey and the black. This one, on the other hand, they've just released, because it's a brand new style, they've just released this in about 5 different colours. So they have some pastel kind of macaron inspired shades. So they've got the rosewood, the sand, the pistachio green, the vintage blue, and I think they've also got a black maybe, and then they've got this crocodile chocolate kind of burgundy colour, and they are coming out with a bright vivid green, but that isn't released yet. So this is the Claude. It has exactly the same clasp as the Mini Milo, exactly the same in every way, and it is very similar in a lot of ways. As I said, it's pretty much exactly the same size, obviously just slightly more rounded, but it has a very similar design. It opens in exactly the same way, so just press down on this and open up the top flap. When you open it, this one is ever so slightly different. This actually has suede at the top here. Now I imagine that's because this is the croc version. I imagine, although I'm not 100% sure, that the smooth leather versions of the Claude, like the Mini Milo, have leather on this top flap, but because this is the croc version, it has a black suede, but it does have that black cotton canvas lining here, so very similar, and it has exactly the same pockets as the Mini Milo. So you have this front pocket, which again is pretty small, I can't put my hand in there. This middle pocket, which has the majority of the space, with a back zip pocket and a front just kind of slip pocket here. And then again, it has this almost hidden pocket here, and it has a pocket on the back as well, which is almost thinner than the Mini Milo because of the material. So obviously this is a croc. It is definitely slightly stiffer than the smooth leather of the Mini Milo. It feels stiffer, it feels a lot more hard wearing than the Mini Milo. This is not going to scratch, or at least not easily, whereas these are incredibly scratchable. I've said this before, this arrived already slightly scratched when I bought it. I've also added a couple of scratches myself, and I've only had it for a couple of weeks. So this is a bag that you are either going to have to baby, or you're going to have to accept that it's going to get scratched, and obviously just treat it with a leather balm and kind of do what you can to maintain it, but realize that it is going to get scratched. I find because you have to open the clasp like this, you are inevitably going to scratch this when you're out and about, opening it quickly with your nails. This one, on the other hand, you're not going to have that issue. It is slightly stiffer, so I imagine you can stuff this with stuff slightly less than the Mini Milo. This one is a little bit more malleable, a little bit more accommodating to filling it to the brim with things, whereas this one isn't going to stretch out at all because it is that thicker, stiffer material. I'm going to take my things out of the Mini Milo now and put them into the Claude, just so you can see the comparison, because obviously this one is a slightly different shape than the Mini Milo, but I don't imagine it's going to affect how many things we can put in it. So I've got my phone in there, I've got my sunglasses comfortably going in there. It is quite dark, so you can't really see it, but a palette, and then obviously I've got a little bit more space for keys and a wallet, and that closes comfortably. But that is definitely feeling a little bit heavier than the Mini Milo. So I would say because this is a thicker material, it does feel ever so slightly heavier and weightier than this one, but I wouldn't say uncomfortably so. So both the Claude and the Mini Milo have an adjustable strap, so you can wear it at different heights. I will show you in the mod shots what it looks like on me. I'm 5'5". They are the same length, so it is going to fall at the same place whether you choose the Mini Milo or the Claude. It isn't the longest strap, so if you're very tall, you might not love this because you can't get it to as long of a length as some other bags go to, but you can get it to different lengths. I don't feel like, unless you're over 5'7", I don't feel like it's going to be an issue, but if you are really tall, you might want to avoid these bags because of that. The final thing I wanted to do is compare these two bags with some other very similar bags I own from other brands. So the first one is the Ateliers Auguste bag that I have. This, I'll put the name of this bag on screen. This is quite a new bag to me. This was gifted for reference, but I wanted to compare because it is obviously quite similar to these bags. So I would say it is a very similar size. It is ever so slightly smaller than the Claude, and then again ever so slightly squarer, I would say, than the Milo. So you can see it is a touch smaller. I would say it might actually be a tiny bit wider, but in terms of length or width, well, yeah, in terms of like size, it is ever so slightly smaller. But in reality, because this bag only has kind of one pocket, I would say that actually you're going to be fitting in pretty much exactly the same amount of stuff as you are in the Mini Milo and in the Claude. This is also a smooth leather. This is also quite prone to scratching. I have got a couple of scratches on mine already. The other main difference with the Atelier Auguste and the Milo and the Claude is the clasp. This one has a much golder and a more matte clasp. This is a lighter gold and it's a lot shinier. So this clasp on the Mini Milo and the Claude is going to show fingerprints much more easily than the clasp on the Ateliers Auguste. It doesn't really bother me, but it's just something to note. This very shiny gold is obviously going to be very prone to having lots of fingerprints on it, especially because you are going to be constantly touching it to open and close the bag. Whereas this one is matter and it's a brighter, kind of more vivid gold. It's also a magnet, so rather than actually opening it as a clasp, it is just a magnetic closure. The other bag I have that is fairly similar to the two is the classic shoulder bag by the Curated. So this bag I've had for about a year, and this one, as you can see, especially is quite similar to the Mini Milo. It's even more similar to the classic Milo by Sézane because obviously it is longer and slightly bigger. So this one again is a smooth leather, and as you can see, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. Yeah, you can see a little bit there. Can you see how scratched mine is near the clasp? So you can see as I've been getting in and out of this bag, I have scratched it mainly with my nails from opening and closing. This one actually opens like this, so it's slightly different. But because, you know, when you're in a rush or you're out and about, you want to quickly open your bag, inevitably you do scratch it slightly, especially around this area. And I imagine the exact same thing is going to happen to this. It is a very similar kind of leather. So if you don't want your Milo bag or your smooth leather Claude bag to look like this after about a year, as you can see, then I probably just wouldn't go for the smooth leather options. Go for the croc option or just go for a different bag in general. This bag is ever so slightly different. It feels a little bit different on the bottom. So it's kind of more hollow on the bottom, as you can see. It's more of like an accordion style. So it does get kind of, it loses its shape a little bit more when it's empty. Whereas the Milo and the Claude, they don't lose their shape because of the nature of this design. They're very much a square box. Whereas this one kind of, can you tell it kind of squeezes in when it's not got anything in it? And the sides look like this in comparison to the sides of the Milo and the Claude. So it is ever so slightly different. Again, you can see like it goes in here. So it's not, there's not quite as much space in the bag as the actual size of the bag portrays. The other difference with this bag is it does have an adjustable strap, but it actually is two separate straps that you have to attach and reattach if you want to change it from a shoulder bag to a crossbody bag. I don't love that. I much prefer the adjustable nature of these bags where you can just on the go change it from one length to the other, whereas this one, once you've got it on one length, you can't really change it because you actually have to physically take the strap off and put another strap on, and that's something that I don't love about the Curated shoulder bag, if I'm honest, and is why I do prefer the Milo, the Mini Milo, the Claude from Sézane, because I just think it's a little bit more of a faff, it's not as versatile, and also, I don't know, I actually prefer the look in general of the Sézane bags, partly because of the clasp. I don't love, especially when comparing them, the clasp on the Curated bag. I think it's a little bit small for the size of the bag, and I don't as much, just, it's a little bit plain. Where's my Ateliers Auguste? Whereas something like the Ateliers Auguste has quite a lot of detail on the closure. It's got this ribbing design, it's a very bright gold, this bit's matte, and then this bit's got these lines. It's quite a feature of the bag, and similarly with the Milo and the Claude, I have so many bags here. With the Milo and the Claude, it's a very pretty clasp, it's got a slightly organic shape to it, it's very shiny. The clasp on the Curated bag is a little bit boring in comparison. I find it a little bit plain, a little bit meh. And I just don't think it's as special as the other bags. I love the Curated as a brand, but I think if I was doing it again, I would buy a Sézane Milo or a Mini Milo or a Claude or the Ateliers Auguste bag over this Curated shoulder bag. Okay, so that's my comparison of the two Sézane bags. Let me know what your favourite is, what you think of them. Do you own any of them? Are they on your wish list? In terms of recommendations, I just think it boils down to which shape you prefer, because they're almost identical in size. It just matters whether you like the more rectangular shape or the more half moon circular shape. And then in terms of the material, if you want a smooth leather bag and you're going to accept the fact that it will scratch, or you're going to baby it and be really careful with it, then go for the smooth leather. If you want something that's a little bit more hard wearing, that you can chuck about, that you don't have to worry about, that you can wear in the wind, the rain, the snow, whatever it might be, then I would personally go for the croc one. Thank you very much for watching. If you are going to make a purchase of either of these bags, I will leave links to both of them in the description box and in the pinned comment of this video. It does really help me out if you're going to make a purchase anyway. If you use my links, I make a really small commission through those links. I bought both of these bags myself, and that commission just allows me to reinvest in my channel, buy more things to review for you, and hopefully help you make better purchasing decisions. I'm also going to leave some videos on screen that I think you may enjoy. Please do subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed already and you do enjoy this Sézane related content, because there's lots more to come this autumn, winter. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you very soon in my next video. Bye!